Another Republican, in fact, Congressman Drew Ferguson from my home state of Georgia, he announced that he also will be retiring from the House of Representatives upon the conclusion of the 118th Congress. He is but one of many who are doing that. In fact, there's been so many lawmakers who have recently announced their decision not to seek re-election that Congress is literally on the pace to have more members leave this election cycle before this election cycle comes up than any other cycle over at least the last 10 years. Well, what could the implications of all of this mean, especially in light of an election year coming up? Well, here to discuss this is Brent Keilen. He's the Vice President for Strategic Initiatives at the Family Research Council, as well as FRC Action. Brent, thanks for joining me today. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Jody. Good to be with you today.
All right, well, let's begin, if we can, first of all, with the House. Let's look at this, the House of Representatives. We all know that the majority for the GOP in the House of Representatives is extremely slim. So where do we stand right now? I know there's been some moving of George Santos and others. As of right now, where do we stand in terms of the majority in the House?
Well, like you said, Jody, the GOP went into this year with an extremely slim majority, 222 seats in a chamber where you need 218 to pass anything. So you can only afford to lose 4 votes in your caucus to get anything through, which is a big deal. Jody, you know this better than I as a former member, but there's a lot of great House members, strong conservatives, but there's also some moderates, so to get consensus almost 100% on some of these key issues can be a difficult task. Then to complicate things, the current congressional districts that we're looking at are not certain. We just saw in North Carolina new lines come out there, which is expected to help the Republicans. They're projected to pick up maybe 3-4 new seats there because of those new lines. But then just earlier this week in New York, we saw the court mandate redrawing those congressional districts. So that's supposed to favor probably Democrats by maybe as many as 6 seats. So all of these things make a huge difference. Then to your question specifically, where are we with the members? Well, we had George Santos, the Republican from New York, expelled earlier this month. So the Republicans are down 1 seat there. The race to replace him, or the special election to replace him, will happen in mid-February. But the important thing there is that this is a toss-up House district, but that actually leans a little bit Democrat. So there's the chance that the Republicans don't keep that seat. Then we have Kevin McCarthy's announcement earlier this month that he's going to be stepping down by the end of the year. So that's another seat at some point that the Republicans will be down. Now, we don't know exactly when the replacement election will be there. If his resignation goes into effect by January 3rd next month, then the governor's going to have to call for a special election relatively soon. If it's after January 3rd, he could decide to leave that seat open, which he probably would do because it's a deep red district. Then thirdly, you have another Republican in Ohio, Bill Johnson, who has announced he's going to retire sometime by mid-March. We don't have an exact date, so we'll see when exactly that happens. He's going to take a leadership position in a university there. But Jody, you're looking at a situation there where at least for some period of time, you could have 3 House seats that just last month were in GOP control that could be vacant. So in a chamber where you had 222 votes, you're down to 219, or excuse me, you need 218 to pass something you had 222. You're down to 219, and so extremely slim margins. You're talking about even a couple of health accidents away from the majority going the other way.
Yeah, just a heartbeat away, really. But for every 2 that leave, that 218 majority goes down 1, number 2. So the magic number, I guess, would be what at this point, if we lose 3, it would be down to 217 for a majority. not 218. But nonetheless, we're just a heartbeat or so away from this whole thing just being a devastating situation, to my knowledge, something that's never happened in our country before. Which side of the aisle is seeing the greatest number of members exit? Is there a Republican or Democrat? Which one seems to be leaving in greater numbers right now?
Well, you know, the interesting thing, Jody, is that it's significantly more Democrats. Last numbers I checked, there are about 35 House members that are either retiring or seats that have been vacant this year. 23 of the 35 are held by Democrats, so like 2/3 in the Senate. Last count I saw was 8 total vacancies or retirements. 5 of those are Democrats. So you have about 2/3 of Democrats with this huge number, but the ones that are going into effect right away are more Republicans, because most of the Democrats are actually opting to serve out their terms through next year, or those seats have been replaced. The seats have a replacement already.
Well, this it's perilous times. All right, we just have a little bit of time left, Brent. But just from your perspective, what do you think? Is there anything really that our viewers, our listeners right now can do in the midst of these announcements and the changes that are coming? What would you say to those who are listening or watching?
A couple of things come to mind for me. One is, I think this is a great reminder of just how important every race is, every seat is. When you're talking about margins this close, it's a great reminder. Every seat matters, every vote really matters. The other thing is, I think it really informs how we pray for our government officials. Of course, pray for them legislatively, that they vote the right way, make the right decisions. That's important. But this is a reminder to also pray for them with the things that they have going on personally. Pray for their health. Pray for their safety, pray for good judgment, these sorts of things, because all of it really makes a difference. And these members have to deal with same things all of us have to deal with. And I know they all covet prayer on those issues as well.